Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Insert theme music here. Insert theme music here. All right. Good evening, tribe, and welcome to Merriwether's World, my hour-long ego trip where I introduce you to cool things and cool people. Tonight we have special guest R.H. Snow, seventh generation Texan, who will be talking about her new post-apocalyptic series, the Watcher of the Damned. All right, but first, as usual, a brief introduction to those of you who don't know me. My name is Dr. Mark Merriwether Vorderbruggen. I am author of Idiot's Guide Foraging, PhD chemist, medicine man for the Medicine Man Plant Company. I write a monthly article for a women's fashion magazine, of all things, and generally have my finger in every pie. So, as usual, we'll start out with some housekeeping stuff. One of the big things, of course, everything is centered around Foraging Texas, www.foragingtexas. So there's where you can go for all sorts of free foraging information, currently covering over 220 edible and medicinal plants found not just in Texas, but really all across North America. Let's see. Oh, okay. So those of you who also don't know me, I teach foraging classes all around Texas. And so for a list of upcoming classes, let me get that up there. We have a bunch coming, and I can actually share. Let me do this. Oops. Why won't that? There we go. Okay. There we go. Whoop. All right, you're on there, RH, but we're not quite ready for you. So, yeah, so the Foraging Texas is the website, and then upcoming classes, the link I am putting up now. You will see, whoops, there is lots and 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 lots of classes coming up here through the next number of months through the cool weather. So now with fall approaching, we got all that. So very cool. Also need to do my normal shout out to my sponsors. So let me get that information up here because they actually have coupon codes. So first would be Uncommon Bees and their huge selection of all sorts of bee-related products, all harvested and made using the local Texas hives and plants and all that sort of thing. So Uncommon Bees, and if you use the Forking Weeds coupon code when you check out, normally it'll give you 10% discount, but now until midnight tonight, it will give you a 25% off anything on there, including their whole line of CBD infused honeys. So awesome there. Also, of course, I have to do a shout out to Wazoo Survival. So Wazoo Survival are the people who actually pay for the StreamYard account and had me create the, let me bring it up here, the foraging bandana with them and Dr. Nicole Appelian from the TV History Channel Alone. So if you go out in the woods, if you are a hiker, backpacker, bird watcher, hunter, survivalist, they have all sorts of really great gear beyond just the bandana. So you need to check them out. And they are also, Wazoo are the ones that pay for the StreamYard account that allows me to bring the show to you every week, and the donut shop at the beginning of the world every morning. Okay, another sponsor. Whoops. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. Sorry. The problem with computers is they do exactly what you tell them to, even if that's not what you wanted them to do. So what I'm trying to do, here we go. Okay. So for your herbal type remedies, herbs, the herb shop up in Cushing, Texas, Ricardo Shilly Shally. Hopefully he is here tonight hanging out. You get a coupon code with him too. The Forking Weeds gives you 15% discount on any of their items now until midnight. The great thing about Herbs is he will set up like a Zoom conference with you and get an in-depth discussion about what's going on and then make the recommendations. Okay, next sponsor, one I really love. I love all my sponsors. That's why they're my sponsors, because I actually love them, is the Campcraft Outdoors, makers of fine, lightweight but heavy-duty canvas packs and haversacks and gear bags for the people who like to go off trail. So if you when you're out in the woods, you are slipping through the underbrush and you need something that can handle the greenbrier and the blackberry and all the thorny things there, but it's also waterproof. Their waxed canvas goods are absolutely amazing for this. They don't weigh any more than your basic plastic backpack, but they are so much more durable, and I absolutely love them. And with the coupon code Foraging Texas, you can love them for 15% less. Isn't that awesome? Okay, and then I assume a lot of people are here tonight because of fear and dread. So they are if you are looking for survival equipment, firearms, that sort of thing, they are the people to go to. And they are the ones who donated the 2 individual patrol officer packs that I will be raffling off, or not raffling, basically giving away tonight. There's been a post up on the Foraging Texas Facebook page for 3 weeks now that if you share it and get other people to join Foraging Texas, you get put in the drawing. So 2 of you will win both a vacuum pack emergency patrol kit with the tourniquet and the gloves and the gauze and a foraging bandana. So very fun there. I love it when I have stuff to give away to the people. Okay, and then finally, and so with the fear and dread, oops, come over here. There is a coupon code for them too, and if you use Merriwether, you get 5% off a $100 order or more. So let me put this up there too. Okay, so, and as they say, but wait, there's more. Of course, True Arbor. These are, in my opinion, quite frankly, very likely the best tree doctors in Texas. They are located here on the northeast side up in Kingwood, but they travel not only all over Texas, but they have traveled all over the United States to care for really important trees. So, and with the hurricane right now and all the damage over in Louisiana, may God take mercy on their souls. They're probably over there sending some crews, but they're still here now. And they have a special deal going on this month that if you have them come in and treat any of your trees, they will also do a full yard fertilization with their very special patented vegetative bacteria. If you know anything about legumes, the pea family, how legumes often in the roots they have these nodules with a very specific bacteria that can fix nitrogen. They can take nitrogen gas from the air, break it, make it into nitrates that can then be the nitrogen that plants need to grow. So this I'm gonna try and say it here. The Rhodosumonas pulsteris bacteria that they found will do that to any plant. It will bind to the plant roots and then sit there and take the nitrogen and convert it into nitrates that your plants can use. So you turn all your plants into nitrogen fixers, thereby self-fertilizing the yard. So that's really awesome. So you got to give Arbor True a call. I don't know if you looked at the upcoming weather out in the Atlantic, but there are 2 more storms headed this way. basically coming right for the Gulf of Mexico. So if you have some trees that you're thinking, damn, I need to get those down, you might want to give True Arbor a call. So, and did I put their website up? I guess I should put their website up. Okay. And back to me for a moment. Okay, so, oh, hey, Joe, hey, Julie, hey, Colin, hey, Deborah. Hey, Miguel, haven't seen you in a while. Hey, Brendan, how you doing, man? Still running from the government there? Cool. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, BJ. Good to see you, man. Hey, S. Hey, Donald. Hey, Emma, how you doing, man? Loving the pictures of your pig. Hey, Joe, good you made it. Hey, Sherry, cool, the tribe gathers. All right. Hey, cool, the bearded hobbit. How you doing, man? Dr. Professor, or Professor Laurie, I need to have you on again. Okay, so I need a sip of water. Now I have so this is episode 75. Cool. We have a post-apocalyptic world going to the east of us due to the hurricane. Terrible, very terrible. And the world in general is being ravaged by a freaky virus. So what better time than to bring in R.H. Snow, science fiction author and writer of The Watcher of the Damned, a sci-fi series taking place in a post-apocalyptic Texas world. So why don't we start with you just giving a brief introduction of yourself? And I guess it helps if I unmute your mic.
Really
there we go. So
thank you.
I mean, other than a seventh generation Texan, be amazing. Some of the back you and your family that kind of led to where you are now.
Well, I'm sorry. This is such a big moment for me, Mark. I just have to wipe my eyes with this beautiful bandana. Thank goodness that I had my liver pills here to help me, deal with this overwhelming stress that I've had in coming onto your show. This really is a fantasy for me. Okay, right now I need to do a fangirl squeal. Oh my gosh, I'm on your show. You don't understand. I've been watching you since 2006, buddy. You have come such a long way, and I love everything on your show. So thank you so much. Now, what did you ask me again? To say something about me? Okay, so tell me what you would like to know.
Okay.
I'll give you something for
it. You quietly whispered your age to me earlier.
Yes, I am.
I won't share that.
No, I am 50.
I did not guess that was your age.
57. I am 57 years old. I have bras older than you. And probably. you and you, all these people here. I probably got stuff that's older than half of y'all here. My boots right now, the boots I'm wearing, these boots, I've got my lucky boots. I want to show it to you because these are my special lucky boots. I got them at Rusty's. Yay, congratulations. Rusty's in downtown. Hey, go get you some. Okay, so these are my special lucky boots, and they're older than most of y'all. So I being 57, you get to a point where you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I lived this long. In fact, one of the things I was excited about when you talked about your waxed canvas, who's making those for you? The waxed canvas
the
goods.
Campcraft Outdoors?
Yes, Campcraft Outdoors. Well, first time I saw those, they looked like my father's knapsack from World War II, and I had it, and I wore the heck out of that thing. So yeah, that's how old I am, buddy. So congratulations. I lived this long. Welcome to the old world. So thank you.
Now, you mentioned you were a military brat, and then your husband was a bodyguard, among others.
Well, yeah. So actually, my dad, he was in the military. He was in World War II. He got in when he was 16. Actually snuck on in there, lied about his age, managed to get in there, was there from from Pearl Harbor, actually 1940, until after the war. He went to Bikini Atoll. And then he went back in for the Korean War. And when he got out, he was out at that time, but he became sort of a science nerd, for lack of a better word. Never graduated from high school, never graduated from college. On the other hand, he helped design the baffling system for the Saturn V rocket for Apollo 11, as well as the triply redundant safety system for the Tree Stay submarine. He was a sort of a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and he was a brilliant man. Married my mother, who just so happened to be one of the first women to take physics at North Texas. And then there's me. You know they asked me like, what's 1 plus 1? And I said, if you put them together, they make an 11 because you have a 1 here and a 1 here. I couldn't do math. I ended up being a preschool teacher at first. Y'all, I can't do it. I'm like, I look at that and I just start, and they're like, our child daughter, she can't get nothing. So I ended up, and I love kids though, and I did great with working with kids, and that's how I ended up. So but yeah, my family was kind of brilliant. In fact, my little brother actually is a musician. His name is Wayne the Train Hancock. I'm on a couple of his he's an Americana. He does a lot of Texas music, and I'm actually on a couple of his albums actually for Thunderstorms and Neon Signs. I did Summertime, and I also did Stormy Weather with him on another album. So I'm sort of a jack of all trades because our people were jack of all trades. Because I guess when you come from that sort of living where you lived through the Great Depression like my parents did, you learned how to do everything or die. And so it's like, hey kids, nowadays we're like, hey, you want to watch something? Let's go get mama's iPad and we're going to watch it. Back in the days they were like, I'm sorry, this is when I was a kid. You're so young, you don't even know. Back in the days, they'd be like, hey, kids, you want to listen to some music? And you'd be like, yeah, they'd go make you some. And so you'd have to get a guitar and, play. So we had to learn how to do everything. If you wanted to look at something like moving pictures, you had to go draw them and then flip the little book so you could see it. We like when you had the one channel that was on. I was in Nez Perce, Idaho one time. We had exactly one channel that came in like when the weather was clear. You sit there and you have one kid hold on to the little rabbit ears and you like sticking your hand out. I had like braces so I could open my mouth so that way the little signal would come in. Yeah, so that was my job. So I'm sort of from like a different world. So all you young people out there, I just want to say, I love you. Look at your little dewy faces. You over there, 40 years old or whatever. You're like a child to me.
I'm 52 and well deserved.
Congratulations. You're Mohawk Rocks, buddy. Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's jump right into the book.
Yeah.
Why don't you give I could read what you have.
You mean this way?
Yeah.
What the damned Transmutation, Texas? Get you some. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
The link to Amazon so they can get I've been reading it on my
have you?
Very interesting.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I was kind of nervous about people reading it.
Okay, so what I liked about it, a few things. First, the battle scenes seemed very realistic.
Thank you.
I know about fighting and so forth, and you might have something to say about that. And then, of course, working in real world firearms and actually knowing how they work, their limitations. That's always exciting.
Thank you.
It's not Hollywood guns. This is like real ones. Let's go sideways here for a second. When the Watcher found the Mossberg Mariner, it's like,
you're excited.
Favorite firearm. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I never had the money when there was one available, so I don't have it. But
what do you got?
Do you have one?
No, first you pick up your baby. Show everybody your friend. Do you have it with you?
No, I have. So the other thing that I really liked is the protagonist, his main survival knife is a Bowie knife.
Oh yeah.
So and
his
mind too. After
dog.
There's lots of different theories on knives out there in the world, and what's the best survival knife. And frankly, after 50 years of experimentation, I have settled on the Bowie knife as being my absolute favorite.
I'm so proud of you.
Blade. It does everything I need for a true non-glamping, but actually survival camping. This is the one I had applied for a loan. Actually, the TV show Alone came to me and did all the stuff, and then they decided, no, we want someone who would be miserable. So I don't know if you can.
Boo! I'm sorry.
But I being a Catholic.
Oh, sweet.
Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Engraved on my blade.
Yes. Good job.
Being out there.
Stay at fault, buddy. Woo.
So boiling it down with the book, there was a lot of realism in this strange world you had created. Oh, the other. So again, the protagonist, without giving too much away, the
really
rulers keep this very powerful person under control by a drug addiction.
Yes.
Which makes sense. But he had been described as having a scaly, lizard-like skin, and So, I was thinking, well, syringes aren't going to go through that. And then it discovers that he has a port. He has a port inserted that they inject the drugs in rather than just trying to get through the lizard skin. And my mom currently has a port due to her
Yeah.
drugs. So it's like, this is, pulls together. So, yeah.
Oh, I actually got that from being an EMT. I got my EMT certification when I was 50. My mother had just passed away. I had her with me all the way up until the day she died. She stayed with my house, and I helped care for her. And so my husband, being the kind of person he is, since he's a private investigator and a bodyguard, he's like, well, you need to go out there and you need to go ahead and get over it. And I'm like, my mama's dead. I can't do nothing. Don't make me. He's like, no, go get your stuff. So he was wanting to be a firefighter anyway, and we're all starting stuff. So he actually is also the fire chief while we're at it, and I'm also a volunteer firefighter. And everybody's got to go do something because we all have to be busy all the time. So I'm like, okay, I'll go get my EMT. So I did. Yay for me. But that's the thing. So that's where a lot of the information about the ports and stuff. And part of the skin issue actually has to do with a certain kind of lichen planus. And actually, I've had several friends who actually have autoimmune disorders. And if you've ever had somebody that actually has psoriasis and how it builds up, and imagine having this all over your body. And there actually are people who have this all over their body, and it starts to build up and even look like that in its worst stages. And of course, this is not necessarily a classical form of that particular scleroderma or something like that, but it is a variant of it. And so I tried to do my research on this, and having had friends that had it, and having had my mother actually had psoriasis sometimes. And so that's how it works into the book with that. So this is actually their body's response to this virus that was somehow inflicted on their world. And so, yeah.
Hopefully we're not turning into scaly skinned creatures.
Thank goodness. We just said we're turned into masked creatures, and like they walked around, their faces were all covered. We don't know what happened yet. No.
Like on the cover of the book, if you hold it up again, he has the mask on.
Yes. Yeah, he actually does. Well, that's all. It says proof there. Don't y'all look now? Right down here. He's actually got his mask on. He's pulled it up. So.
And then you said your daughter did the artwork for.
Yes. She did the cover artwork for me. And so it's actually featured on our website, watcherofthedamned.com. That's spelled watcherofthedamned.com. And I can say damned. Now, here's the thing. I'm a Baptist preacher's wife because in addition to my husband being a private investigator and a bodyguard and a fire chief and an EMT, he's also the preacher at my local little church. And so I have to be really good. So remember, when you say damned, it's actually in the Bible. It's okay. We're all going to be all right in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So watcherofthedamned.com. And she actually did this artwork for me. I had done the character studies. That's how we end up with the illustrations in the book, because I was doing character studies. Because being a person who liked D&D as a young person, I really enjoyed tabletop gaming. And later on, I became a big time gamer because we're a weird family. And starting out with Atari Buddy, but then I worked my way up through Doom. Actually, Doom is a huge influence on this. If only I could have worked somewhere. There's going to be a chainsaw work into this, Bubba. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to work in. I did actually discover a hidden cheat on the PS3 when you're playing Doom Classic. If you go up and you bust yourself against the wall like 5 or 6 times, all of a sudden you'll go into God mode and you're invincible. It's amazing. But so yeah, that in the series Fallout actually was a huge influence on the book. I love that stuff. My son was actually into Walking Dead and loved that too. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to put some of this in there because I love that sort of thing. So that's how a lot of that gets in there. And I don't even know what I was talking about before now, but anyhow, so the part about the Watcher of the Damned, yes, my daughter did that, and she actually went in and did this in the middle of the pandemic, no less. We have to get all this artwork down, and we did it long distance. She did a fantastic job, and did it from the character sketches that we did and the character sheets that we worked up with all of his stats on it, including his charisma and his strength. So I was proud. So tabletop gaming came through for me after all. Thank you.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So a few other things from the book that I really liked. One of the main things was, so this protagonist, he is very powerful, but he's very honorable. And he has the ability to wreak havoc in the place where he's at. But besides the whole drug addiction, they control him the way all honorable people are controlled, and that is by threatening innocents, the innocent people, because that doesn't work. You can't control an evil person by threatening the lives of innocent people, but you can control the good and the honorable that way.
Yes.
So,
And in fact, if you read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, you realize that's how it works, is that you find out what somebody values and then you threaten to take it away.
yep.
You make them work against their own rules. So if you want somebody to do what you're wanting them to do, you go ahead and you challenge them in a way, well, you're not supposed to do that because you believe that you shouldn't go out and fill in the blank, whatever it is they don't want you doing that day. They have studied you, they know what it means. And that happens to all of us. But in the case of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, those same things apply to the watcher. And of course, obviously, these people have done their studying. Even in this post-apocalyptic world, people don't forget how to control other people.
Quick question here.
Yes.
Joe asks, how many
Hi,
books
Joe.
are in the collection? Yeah.
We start off actually with 6. And I say we start off because this is a huge story arc. I've gotten the first 6 books already finished. They're ready to go. In fact, they're being edited. I'm already working on the 3rd one. 2nd one is Six Gun Shiva. 3rd one is Babe's Blood. 4th one is Purgatory and Paradise. 4th one is Hellraisers and Heartbreakers. And 5th one is Hellraisers and Heartbreakers. And 6th one is Lone Star Libre. Because we have wrestling too. So we actually have the first 6 books, and that finishes the first story arc. I'm also a big Jack Kirby fan. I am an old school DC Marvel person, and I cry when I look at the new ones now. But I'm going to go into that later. We're not going to go into, Gamergate and Comic-Con, whatever. But so in this case, when I look at those things, I was like, that's sort of the arc I'm looking at, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, things like that. And so this is a huge story arc. We probably have 15 to 18 books. Cool. And I actually wrote the first 6 books within an 18-month period. So it was almost 700,000 words, and I got it down, and going through my second edit now where I'm doing that final edit on it and I'm turning them out. There'll be a book a month, and we hope to have the whole series out before Christmas.
Sweet. Nice.
Yeah. So we'll have a box set,
I'll put the link up again. Just
thank you.
The Amazon to the Kindle version, because right now it's just Kindle.
Yes, actually we are proofing, and we will have the print version ready. Cool. So we will have it. We will have it. That's my proof copy right there. In fact, we're going to be turning that in this week. So we have it be ready to go. We hope by mid-September.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to the controlling an honorable man through innocent, there was a sentence that you wrote in there along those lines that I thought was great. So I copied it down here.
Oh.
And it was, the judge was brilliant, devolving freedom into defiance. Now, the judge is one of the bad people in this, who is controlling the population, the camp. And when you make the thoughts of freedom to be against the community, that is a powerful thing, again, for an honorable person.
It is. And most of us are controlled that way. You have a point. And of course, if you've ever read Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces, you recognize that the hero's journey starts with some sort of catalyst. For most of us, we don't have that thing where a mom dies magically like in Disney and you're left with like just enough of a sword to go through the wilderness. Instead, you already have kids. You already have your family. Well, our catalysts happen in little, like crumbles on a slope. One day we get to that point where it actually does come out from under us, but the roots are still clinging. We still have pieces of us that are left behind. No catalyst happens without complete loss somewhere of ourselves. And so as the watcher is going through that particular part of the story, he's entering that catalyst phase. And the judge knows how to control this giant population because the rest of the population has not gone through catalyst. They are staying where they are. They're safe. They have their drugs. They have their things that keep them under control as well. They care about each other. I think one of the most brilliant movies I've ever watched, and this was a really big influence on this, was Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. And one of the reasons why is because the sheriff in the story, he's this really terrible person. I mean, just like horrible. I cried at the end because he's dying and he says, I was building a house. And you're like, this is a human being. Everybody has something they love. Everybody has something they've lost. Everybody has something that makes them afraid. They're still your enemy. They're still trying to control you, but they are human. And all of us have that place. Where are we on that spectrum of humanity? Are we going to go over to the side where we turn towards darkness and to hate each other? And do we turn towards light and freedom and to being ourselves, to valuing life as it is? And the only way you can value life is with life, liberty, and that pursuit of happiness, to be able to pursue happiness, and you can't do it without freedom. So when you have that false system in place where they have you under control, and where they want whoever it is in your life, it may be something, a larger system, or it may be something small, it may be in your own personal life. So you have somebody that's controlling that, somebody that's we let them usually because we do want to be there. There's a point where we have to decide that we want more, and we can take those people with us. Sometimes we actually can. We can pick them up and go, you know what, we're breaking free of my addiction, we're breaking free. I also am part of a Celebrate Recovery group, by the way. I actually help run it. And one of my first things I say is, realize I'm not God. I mean, I'm powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing, and that I'm not able to control what I'm doing. Well, we have other people in our lives sometimes that are like that, but we can break free, and we can break free with them. But when you have a society that is enchained because of a addiction of some kind, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, we have these en masse. We all have something that we're after, and that is when we're most easily controlled, is when we all want those things together, and we're able to be pushed towards a particular goal. Particular goals all together, they can free the world. My dad, he was part of the Apollo project. We talked about that. That was a particular goal everybody worked towards, and it changed everything. But then there are some goals that aren't good, and there are times that people try to push us towards them, and we can be controlled through things that we love. And once you love something and it's not good for you, you have to make some decisions. And that's what happens to the Watcher at that point. He realizes he's being controlled, and that his freedom has been turned into something that can be used against him.
So that's what I like, the lessons in the book that were, putting things into words that had just been vague thoughts.
Thank you.
I
think a lot. Sorry.
Another quote that I liked in there, it was in a flashback, the Watcher and his father talking, and the father says, "When life gets hard, you will meet two kinds of people who take action and people who wait for others to take action." And having years involved in emergency services and all that, has been proven that basically when some sort of disaster happens, there's a thing called normalcy bias, where people just can't believe something bad is happening. And so like 80% of the people just sit there going, what? Huh? I don't understand. 10% figure it out, take action, and respond appropriately. And then another 10% freeze up or start interfering with the appropriate actions. And so when I saw that, the people who take action and the people who wait for others to take action, that's true. In the real world, that is what happens in a situation. There are the people that come to realize what's going on right away and start taking action to stop it or to escape, and hopefully help others escape the situation.
Well, and it's important for us to recognize that actually there are several different kinds of people in the world. We have alphas, we have betas, we have people that are, if you ever read Dave Grossman's On Killing, and he talks about sheepdog and wolves and sheep. They're all part of the ecosystem. Some of us are sheep. I'm going to be really honest. I talk a great fight, but I'm kind of beta in some ways. I'm very alpha in others. But when it comes down to physical contact, I find it very hard to fight back. I have a hard time with it. And so I understand that feeling of just wanting to reach over and hug somebody who desperately wants to kill you. Because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I have been hurt very badly a couple of times because I was just like, oh, it's going to be all right to reach out. And then this person is in a bad place where they're not going to be touched by that, and it can harm us. Sheepdog will respond. Now, the sheep have their own way of handling it. They're there for the herd. They follow each other. They take care of each other. They're soft little fluffy critters, and they're going to move together as a herd. There's a reason they're herd animals, because that protects each other. But there are people who are sheepdogs. They protect against the wolves. They take action. They move when they're supposed to move. And those people have to do their job. They cannot be told that they can't. They have to be channeled into the appropriate action. They have to be given the tools, and they have to be allowed to do their job to do it, because that is how those sheep stay alive, so they can do their job, which is to nurture their young, to take care of the herd, to be the ram or whatever it is they're supposed to be. But sheep and sheepdogs cannot really exist without each other, because I know wild sheep. That's different. They got big old horns too. They're like, they're going to get you. I don't know. You don't mess with a wild sheep.
Oh, no.
Even the domestic ones will kind of get you. But when you're in a situation like that, we really are domesticated animals now. We really do get along. And so he's looking at that difference between the sheepdog and the sheep. And the wolves have their own place in society. There's times you see them out there running free, and hey, isn't that great? That's a beautiful animal. But if you got a herd, it really breaks your heart when he's in the middle of it and he's killing your lambs. And that's where the sheepdog comes in.
Yeah.
And people got to be what they're going to be. And those people who take action need to be allowed to be themselves in order to do it.
This is true. And so again, it's always nice to see books that bring that out. That this is because in the world, I mean, we joke about it, but the world has changed.
Yes.
The end of the world as we know it has occurred. We are entering some new world, and so there's problems and so forth that people need to be ready to take on and adjust and react to. Or hopefully hook up with the right leader who will,
Yeah. Well, that thing that we call the fourth turning, where suddenly everything turns upside down, and the world changes on a pin. Suddenly, what was status quo, everything was stable, everything looked good. Somebody pulls something out. There's where the flaw was, and it all starts to come down like a game of Jenga. And how do we survive that? We survived that the same way our ancestors did. Know what your ancestors knew. That's the reason why it's so important. They lived in a world that was absolute chaos most of the time. We are always, and you know this, 3 meals away from total chaos. That's the way it is. We don't realize it because right now my air conditioner's working, everything's awesome, and the world's out there. I don't have rights right now out where I am. But when it comes down to it and people start to change and their world starts to crumble, we turn into the human animal. And we need to be able to know how human animals are supposed to survive. We need to know how they're going to stay alive in these situations. And it's about embracing our humanity in the first place, understanding ourselves as humans, what makes us tick, not expecting our sheep to act like sheepdogs, not expecting the wolves to be anything else but what they are. They have their place. It's over there. But if you are a sheepdog or you're a sheep and you want to stay alive, you've got to make those alliances and you have to be able to move forward. And that's an extraordinarily important thing.
Yeah. And the whole tribal concept. I mean, that's the people who have your back.
Yes.
There's no one that survives on their own. So
no. And people want to say that, but if you've ever been in a situation, and there's several that are preppers groups, there are those who can actually go out in the middle of the woods and actually start their place. My daughter's ex-military. She's a veteran. Let's put it that way. You're never ex. You always have it in you. She's a veteran. Her husband is retired military, and they started their own place out off the grid, and they actually are but they're not alone. There are people who do it, but they have each other. Yeah. And they've gone completely off grid. They've got this fantastic little place out in Maine. They're living that dream, and with them and a couple of dogs, and they're making it work. But for most of us, we have skills that we want to use together, and we really need tribe. And even then, she's up there on her own, but she still calls me on this wonderful machine that you've got in front of you here. And she's able to get advice or information. She's able to look for it. What happens when you don't have this?
Yep.
What happens when you don't have the internet?
All you have is what's packed
here.
Or
we have what's packed away inside you. We have to be able to access each other. We're actually a collective organism in many ways. And when we describe that thing about being able to be shamed into our greatest virtue being turned against us because we fear losing the tribe or we fear harming them. And the same thing happens when we have a virtue as well. We are a collective. And so as we help each other, as we communicate with each other about what we need to know so we can survive, the more we have, the better off we'll be. One of the greatest things I ever read, actually, was from a person who lived through the Sarajevo wars in the 80s and 90s. And he talks about the fact that you think you're going to make it on your own. You won't last because you have to sleep. But the families that survived the best were the ones who had 15 kids or more, the ones that had the cousins and the aunts and the uncles. They came together and they could go out, and a group of 5 men could go, and they could go down the street to go try to get to the water, and they could come back, or they could go to the old store and they could go get a bag of salt. Being together, numbers, really helps us. Man is not meant to be alone, and none of us are. We need each other, and the tribe needs each other, and that's one of the most fantastic things about your base. Your tribe actually takes care of each other. They care about what happens to you, Mark. They care.
Yeah, and they care about each other too.
Yes, they absolutely do. When you're up there in the mornings and like one of us is like, I can't take it anymore. I mean, I'm serious. I've been there. I've been through divorce. When one of us going through divorce, and we all know we care. When it happens, you're like, it's going to be all right, because once again, that tribal feeling steps in, and we're like, we want to take care of each other. And I love that feeling of belonging. That freedom to be ourselves together is wonderful.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Cool. Yeah, like I said, we are a tribe. You can't not be a tribe. I had to figure out how many negatives I could put in it. The person that you were talking about, Sarajevo, was that Selko?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, you read it too. Congratulations! I know where you've been.
Okay.
I found it on 4chan.
Oh no, I hadn't done it there.
Don't go there unless you have to, please.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
It's awesome.
Kids, I'm not going there. When we were talking earlier, you said something really cool, and it made things click into place. You mentioned in some of the fight scenes how so your husband is a bodyguard. He's trained in different martial arts and so forth.
Yeah.
And so you actually worked out the fight. You know, the two of you kind of worked out the fight.
Yeah.
What's that like? It's got to be.
It's kind of fun, actually. I can't tell you the whole part about that part, but no, you were just sitting there wrestling with somebody like, oh no, let me go, it's terrible. No, and in this case, working out the blocking, because my dad, like I said, he was in World War II. He was also in Korea, and he was a provisional ranger at Fort Hood back when they first started that group. And so he actually taught unarmed combat, and he tried to teach me. He really, really tried. And I said, for that matter, I'm probably more of a soft, fluffy sheep than I am a sheepdog. And I would just go limp. When somebody picked me up, I actually go limp. I just flop. And I can't move. I literally freeze. Now, when there's something happening to somebody else, I can do anything. I'll book down. I've walked into fire. You know, I'm actually also a storm spotter. I'm actually the head storm spotter for Limestone County, for Limestone WeatherNet. And I send out weather, and I tell my
weather then too.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I was up till 4 a.m. was watching the Hurricane Laura and just dreading what was happening, because I knew what was going on. But so Daddy taught me how to do these moves, and I just couldn't do it. I was just like, I would go limp. If he had picked me up a certain way, I would actually just woo, and I would go like limp. But he taught me so much about it. So when I'm working these things out with David, one of the things I have to do is I have to say, all right, what if I was this much taller? How does this hold work? If I'm doing these things, for instance, one of the big things is people have a tendency, they play game. Now I've got this. This is unloaded. Thank you very much. This is the Mossberg 500. Now the one that's in the book is actually the Mossberg Mariner 590. This is a little different. This is my husband's gun. I do not pretend to be a firearms expert. I love the Second Amendment, but I'm like, hey, that's great. I just love to know. It's a great equalizer. I do know how to use one and know how to protect myself. But this is his gun. And so we were talking about what are the logistics if you have a little person like me trying to hold this thing. So many stories that I read, we read them, and they're unlimited ammo. They never have to drop a mag to get extra ammo out. They don't have to reload. They don't get anything jammed. Nothing ever jams in a story unless it's at just the right time. They never run out of ammo at all. That's the thing that really gets me. But they also know how to hold these things up. This sucker is heavy. I'm telling you right now, it's actually probably 7.5 pounds, David, something like that. I think it's about right. And so, yeah, that doesn't sound that heavy, but it is. Now this is open; you can see it. So once again, safety. Notice I'm empty, Daddy. Okay, so yeah, he's in heaven now. I can tell that.
He's proving that too. He was a firearm instructor for 30 years. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So one of the things I did when I actually was, believe it or not, in a former life, I was actually a Boy Scout leader for a little while. I had no idea women weren't Boy Scout leaders. That was in the early 90s. I was like, I ended up with them because they had nobody, and I was like, wait, there's nobody else here but me, So I ended up doing a little bit out on the range, and that's actually where I learned a lot of my stuff. But so when I worked with these things, and I was like, how do these weapons work? Me holding it, doing this move, how do you shift everything? How do you carry all this stuff? That's huge. You have to think about a combat load and a lot of things that really make it. I'm going to go ahead and put you back, mister. Whoops. Oh no, I just dropped you. Are you okay? Are you still there?
Fine.
I just nailed myself over here. Hang on, I'm going to put you back up. Trust me, I'm coming back. I promise. Look at that, I faded. Okay, so anyhow, well, that's what happens when you play with guns when you're online. But so when we were blocking them out, one of the things I really wanted to know is how are these characters going to get these weapons where they need to go? We have a phenomenon that occurs where we have, and we talk about it some, and it's a hot topic. Women can be empowered. They can be very physically strong. They can be very good. But when you have somebody my size carrying a gun like this, how is she moving? How is she using it? Is she going to be able to use it in the right way? One of the biggest problems I've got is that my hands are like possum hands. Have you noticed that? They're little, like this is. I actually play piano too, and I can spread them out, but they're little teeny hands. Me taking a hold of a Glock, one of my husband's Glock 45, I can't even hit this around the thing. I actually like to have, this is my father's revolver here. And then, so once again, it's open. No, it's not loaded. I've checked it several times. I'm not going to aim it at you though, because I'm being good. But anyhow, this is the best gun for me, is actually a revolver or something with a pistol grip. And so when we talk about characters and their physical limitations, what it is that happens when they're using these weapons or when they're going through holes, what happens when they're fighting a certain way. And I've been in a few altercations myself because of the line of work that I had where I worked as a volunteer EMT, but we still had a lot of intense moments. And when you have somebody that's struggling with you, I can tell you right now that me being my size, if I'm actually physically up against somebody else, my job is not to take them out. I can either take them out or I can evade, but there's not going to be just fighting to the death for me to get it. It's either I'm going to take them out on the first hit or I'm going to evade them. I'm going to take them down and run. And this is the great equalizer here. This is female empowerment. That's right there. Now, that's what makes me equal. When I don't have that, I have to learn other ways to get along or get by. But so knowing how they're used, knowing how to hold one and how that character holds one, that really greatly influenced me. And a lot of that was my husband helping me out with this and teaching me these moves and the way to do it. And the other one was my dad, who taught me that I needed to take care of myself and that I should never take for granted my own safety, because he taught me the world is a very dangerous place. And I was really blessed that he taught me what he did, because there's been at least 3 times I've had to use it in my life. If you live long enough, somebody's going to try to hurt you. And if you can introduce them to Jesus in the kindest way possible by protecting yourself and protecting the others that you love, then you have done a good thing, because you've stopped them from committing a crime against yourself. Isn't that sweet?
That is.
That's just that. Bless their hearts. They just tried, and that's what we want to go for. So, but yeah, that's how I actually blocked it out. And it's kind of fun. You get a chance to go ahead and you actually marked it on the spots. The hardest thing is setting up battle scenes. And actually, if I've used Google Earth for that, I go ahead and zoom into my locations. Everything in this book, you can actually mark out the locations. We will be doing geocaching with it. We're actually going to geocache them. We're going to get permission to go into the areas. I've got several locations that we're going to set up geocaches. And we timed out how long does it take us to get from point A to point B on foot, on horseback, and if there's any other way that you can get around, which of course it's science fiction. So somebody's going to find something at some point. Cool. But yeah, it'll happen. Pew, pew. Yeah, it'll happen.
So that's like I said, that's one of the things that really impressed me about your books is the realism in the fantasy world, not just the mechanics, but also the ideology and the reactions of the different characters. My wife and I, we have a running joke. We'll be watching a movie and some crazy thing will happen and we'll just look at each other and go, the writer just pulled this thing out of the air and made it happen. It wasn't real.
I hope I didn't do that.
But, they just put it in because they really liked it or anything like that. And so I haven't found anything like that in your stories yet.
Thank you. I hope not. It's actually when that happens. So one of the things I promised myself I would do is that as I was writing, I have the story arc. It's in my head from the beginning to the end. There's a real story arc. I love Star Wars, A New Hope, and what they have done to my story. Now, I'm also a big Star Trek fan, so I know we're not supposed to cross the beams, but I did. But what they've done, I love Star Wars, and they have just that broke my heart, y'all. Yeah, I'm go crazy.
Mandalorian.
It's just terrible. I know Mandalorian. That's cute. I have not gotten to watch it yet because I made sure that I would not watch anything while I was doing the book because I don't want to steal it.
3 Star Wars. There's 2.5 Star Wars movies and The Mandalorian.
Really?
That's it. Yeah.
I gotta watch it. I've heard some really awesome stuff
Okay.
about it, and I'm like, man, I want to watch so bad.
Yep.
But yeah, so I promised myself the arc is written down. It's going to happen the way it's going to happen, and fans get to say what they're going to say. And there's actually a lot of places where fans are going to be able to go in and fill in, and there's places they're going to be able to relationship folks to write spinoffs. But the arc is where it is, and it's already written down.
Cool.
And I promised myself that I would keep it that way because I want to make sure that these characters go through this. But there's places where I'm writing, and suddenly something will happen to these characters, and they're in a bad situation. I promised myself that I'm not going to change my story arc over here just so I can get them out of this. So they have to work their way out. They have to survive. And there's almost always something. If you watch enough MacGyver, you'll figure that out. But I always love the fact that he can just make something out of anything. But there are people who really do. They have anything's a weapon, anything's a way to stay alive. If you saw Apollo 13, you know that's true. And actually, we watched that from start to finish when it happened, when he was real. And so you learn how to do that. You learn how to be creative. And as a writer, when that happens to my characters, when they get in a bad place, sometimes I will sit there and I will say, how are they going to do this with what they have? And I will not introduce anything new. If they're carrying those weapons, they have to figure out how to get with it. And they work their way out because those characters, I really like my characters. I can't help it. And they've managed so far to get out of it alive. We'll see. I've got this giant story arc. They better stay alive. I got to get out to book 18.
Actually, one of the things that kind of reminded me of was the Stephen King book Misery.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because for those of you who don't know the story,
whack. No, yeah. I'm sorry.
So the author has this really popular series about this lady, and he's tired of writing it, and so he kills her off in his life. And there's this fan that kidnaps him and makes him continue the story, and he has to take her back in a way that actually made sense because this lady is, I guess, almost autistic and nuts. Be real, and the
scary
up creativity of the fake author, through Stephen King is like, that was brilliant how he came up with that. So
yeah, actually, and one of the things you mentioned autism. Actually, I've got autism in my family, and one of the things that we do is by using that mindset. How do you use what's actually just right in front of you without finessing the rest of the stuff? My son has autism, and he actually just graduated from Baylor. Honors. Awesome. But it's a miracle, and I praise God every day for that. But I also know that it's a struggle. Everything is hard sometimes, but he is absolutely a man of God and a great guy, and he taught me to think differently. He taught me to think in a very real way, where you block out all of the social garbage, all the little cues that we get. He doesn't always get all of those. Instead, he sees past that, and he sees to what's really happening in the actual real world, and see people actually consider some of these different ways that we think actually are throwbacks or advancements on how we should be seeing the world around us. For instance, with ADD, a lot of kids have that. But that hyperactivity is actually a way of interacting with the world, in a world that's dangerous, and we need to run and we need to interact more. We don't need to sit and be quiet. People are made their way that they are. And those of us who are very, very quiet or have OCD or something like that, this is a survival mechanism. Mm-hmm. And so he taught me so much about how to look at the situation. And that autism actually helped me write this book, because he would tell me, these characters are here. You're seeing it because you're looking at it through social eyes, where you're looking at the cues of the characters. But in reality, the situation is this. And they have to deal with the real issue, which is behind all these emotions and these feelings they've got. There's an actual solution, and they haven't seen it because they're so ingrained to their own normative ways. And actually, it helped me write the book. So he did a fantastic job with that.
A brilliant sense. See, this is why I brought her on.
Sorry. I'm a weirdo. I'm sorry. Everything makes sense to me somehow or another. Eventually, it's going to make sense to me. That's what's called getting old, y'all. It's fantastic.
Let's see here. There's people are really liking you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Y'all are so sweet. I love you. I can't even see you on chat, but I know you're there, and I love you, and I've been praying for you guys.
Sherry Watson, tribe member, was asking, does your church have a live stream? She would like to check it out.
Actually, we have we have terrible Wi-Fi at the church. We're an itty bitty church. We're a small country church called Shiloh. And I have an online service. We have continued to have services throughout this whole thing. We promised that we would always keep the God's house open because that house belongs to God, not us.
Okay,
But
so
we told our older folks, they said, you need to go home. You need to be safe. Then you need to go home and be safe. I'm actually at risk because I actually have a certain, you've talked before, one of the ways I ended up writing the book is I got sick. I can't go out and fight fires anymore. I can't go and be an EMT. What was I going to do? I wrote a book. Yay for me. But I had to sit in the bed. I actually had to put my feet up most of the time. And so I have a blood pressure condition that I can't control the blood pressure. And so I do the online church service. And I also do the piano and we sing. My son sings. It's a family affair, but it's also a community affair. So we do the online services, and those who can't come out to go to the church service, we actually have them listen. And then my husband and my son, because they're both preachers, go down. They open up the doors every Sunday, and those folks that can come do, and they pray and they sing and they praise God, because you know what? This is Texas, by God. We're going to do what we have to do to survive. And that means go to church too. So, but yeah, so we do have our online church service at a small country church called Shiloh. And if you look at that, that'll be under a small country church called Shiloh, and it's spelled Shiloh, Shiloh. And it's, yeah, so you'll know what that means later.
Yeah.
It's in there.
So Snow David, is that your
What, David?
Okay, yeah, he put up a YouTube link there.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you, David. I thought you were going to ask a question. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got shills and bots. They're shilling for me. No, that's good. You put up a link. Thank you, sir.
Cool. Oh, okay. So it's 8:55 already. Damn, this is fast.
Yeah, you did a good job. Look at you.
One more question, and then we also have to do the giveaway.
Yes.
So hopefully this will be a quick question, and I know it's not going to be. So as one writer to another,
Yes.
one of the best writing advice I ever got was, okay, you write your heart out and then go through and find your absolute favorite parts and rip those out and throw them away, because they may be great to you, but you were blind to that. And in the end, more often than not, they weren't that great. You just personally liked them. Is there any book where you thought, I love what I wrote here, but it just doesn't fit and I gotta take it out?
Yes, actually, there was a couple of places where I wrote it in, and I was like, the characters were thinking to themselves. And actually, this happens to me a lot. I let my characters think. They're in the middle of a bad situation. They start to think about what's happening. And there was a point where Rose, who's the main female protagonist, and she is thinking about her situation, and it's something that happened to her, and it's very traumatic. And it was amazing. It was really profound. I've been through several miscarriages myself. My family, we deal with this regular basis. It's who we are. So we have a struggle. One of the reasons that we know life is so precious and unborn lives are so precious is because we struggle to give birth. And so when we went through those miscarriages, we went through the miscarriages, and she has a scene that's kind of like that, and she's talking about it. Now it's really, I realized, as much as I love this is not where it goes. I can't put this in here because it gives away too much about what's going on in her life. It's not ready for that yet. And it just broke my heart. I was like, I actually have it set aside. I will probably revive it again. But she talks about that experience and what it means to lose, and to nobody knows how much it broke your heart, because it's just you and God and the baby. And one day it's just you and God. And you have to deal with it. You have to move on. And she manages to deal with it in such a wonderful way. I want to be able to use it in the book eventually. And it probably will. It'll show up somewhere, probably in the second series. First series is Watcher of the Damned. And it's actually Watcher is the name of the first one. Second in the series will be called Wanderer. And the third in the series is Warlord. So we have 3 sets of books. It's kind of on a Game of Thrones scale. And it's all takes place in Texas, y'all. And there'll be a lot of ground we cover in Texas. So you might be able to see your house from where we are. We've actually done a lot of location looking, and I want to share that with everybody. I think it's a love song, like I said, to Texas and freedom and who we are as people and humans, and what it means to be human.
Very true. So cool. Wow.
Thank you.
Evening. This has been so much fun.
Thank you. I'm so glad you didn't hate me and throw stuff at me, or
she was
boo, get off.
And she was worried. It's like, no, we're just hanging out and talking. So
it's fun.
It is. I love it. Okay, what I
Okay.
unfortunately we gotta get this other thing in here.
Yes.
So let
Oh
me
no, no, that's fun. It's fun to give away things.
we gotta see if this is going to work here. Oop, nope. Okay, give me whoop. Hold on. Let me do application window. There we go.
You're gonna get one of these, y'all.
Yep. Okay. So, like I said a few weeks ago, the Fear and Dread sent me 2 of the individual patrol officer kit things to use as a giveaway for the tribe. So we have 2 of these, and then I'm throwing in a the foraging bandana. So
Woo.
to draw 2 people who followed the directions and shared all that. And so what I have here is I have the 13 people, and then it turns out Excel actually has a random number generator. So
Oh.
see for winner number 1, once I remove the little colon there and then hit enter. Okay, you were supposed to do, okay, do that, remove that, hit enter. Number 6. So Jatardo Maria is the winner. So I will reach out to her.
Yay, Ricardo!
And then delete. And number 8, Sarah Paul. Woo-hoo! All right. So we have the 2. Oh, oh. Wait a minute. The winner number 1, it first said 6, right? Because now it's saying 11.
Yeah.
Because I thought it said 6. Ooh. Okay, you know what? So we'll, just to be on the safe side, we'll send something to everyone.
That's amazing.
Okay. Let me just put a.
This is like the Oprah show. And you get one, and you get one. This is great.
And 8. And Michelle Laborie. So, okay. Then, whoop, don't do that. I guess I have to hold the shift out. Okay, cool. So we got winners. We got
Good
people.
job,
We had a great evening.
yes.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. We have to do this again at some point. We're just going to like talk about stuff.
Look out, or sometime there, maybe at Christmas time.
Yeah.
For those people looking for gifts, I have a number of different people I can have on that do cool stuff that could make really neat gifts for others. All right, it is 9:01. I need to rejoin the family. Thank you so much for being part of this. And
it was my pleasure. I loved it. I'm just excited. This fulfills my life's fantasy now. I can go on with my life now.
All right. Well, oh man, now I got the Cher song going in my head. Thank you. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm back. And so I will see hopefully a lot of you tomorrow at the donut shop at the beginning of the world. Same place here on Facebook and on YouTube. Usually the official start time is 7:30 a.m. I've been starting pretty much when my coffee is ready and my egg is done.
Good job.
See you tomorrow. And until then, blessings and prayers for the tribe. All right.
Yes. And remember our people in Louisiana and Texas also, in prayers to them.
Especially the Cajun Navy. They are looking for. See, okay, I'm going to go just a little long here.
Yeah.
So the difference between the Cajun Navy and the firemen and the rescue and the Coast Guard, the government agencies, they have to stop at sundown. They are not allowed to go in after dark.
That's right.
Navy keeps going.
Because they're the bomb, y'all. They're awesome.
So look them up and maybe make some donations or something to them. Okay.
There you go.
Love you all. Seriously, thank you so much for spending an hour and 2 minutes with us.